Some environmental advocates say that money needs to be earmarked at the state level to help replace this ancient, aging water infrastructure in our capital region communities. Joining us now is Liz Moran. She's a member with the Environmental Advocates of New York. Liz, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me today.
When we talk about lobbying the state for this money, it seems like a foregone conclusion to us that this is the kind of thing you would want to pay for. Why is it so hard to get the state to play along?
You know, this is absolutely something that needs to be a priority for the state. This is, what happened in Troy recently is something that happened statewide. Syracuse, for example, last year had some 300 plus water main breaks. They have on average about one water main break a day. Not far from here in Colony last year, they had around 100 water main breaks themselves. So, given how close we are to the Capitol, hopefully this will draw legislators and the governor's attention to how dire the need truly is and the fact that we need them to step up from years of neglect.
I was at one of those Colony water main breaks. It kind of looked like this scene here, a very large hole in the ground. Is there an ideal number of funding that we're not reaching, a dollar figure, something that would be best to help fix this aging infrastructure?
So what we're calling for is the governor and the legislature to include $800 million in their budget annually for water infrastructure repairs. That's a figure that was identified by the New York State Comptroller as an annual funding gap. The need is truly tremendous. DEC estimated a few years ago that over the next 20 years, $36 billion will need to be invested in wastewater infrastructure alone. This is obviously a drinking water infrastructure issue, and the Department of Health has estimated that over 20 years, $38 billion will need to be invested.
I know you're with environmental advocates, Liz. Is there an environmental factor to all this, a risk to our environment from the aging infrastructure in all of our upstate cities?
Of course. So residents here are seeing obviously flooding in their homes. Water main breaks can lead to exposure of pathogens, and of course aging wastewater infrastructure can lead to hundreds of thousands of gallons of sewage discharged into our water bodies. The Capital Region alone contributes to over 1 billion gallons of raw sewage discharged into Hudson River annually. So there's a very clear public health and environmental impact to not investing in this infrastructure.
So often with water main breaks, we think, gosh, there's no water coming out of our tap, but we don't often think about those environmental risks. Liz Moran with Environmental Advocates of New York State, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.